everybody, and Happy New Year. Today we're going to be talking about A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. And of all the Freddy films in the catalog, believe it or not, this is the one that traumatized me the most. I was at the right age where I knew who Freddy was, and I had just seen Part 1 on HBO. And as I mentioned in the last video, it was my sister who introduced me into Freddy. And as a child, of course, there's Jason, there's Michael Myers, but Freddy, as I've stated many times before, this is the one I felt that was real. I felt that he can get to my dreams. And the thing is, he may not even be real, but you can still dream about him. And that concept of thinking that he can kill you in your dreams as a kid is terrifying. But the reason Part 2 stood out to me as a child was some of the special effects, of course, with Freddy coming out of Jesse's stomach, and we'll get into that later. But it was that scene, believe it or not, while watching it as a kid, where I would leave the room. That's how much of an effect it had on me. And my cousins would tease me, come on, what do you mean a sissy? Come back in the room. It's just a movie. It's just a movie. And I would be crying, and Mom, come pick me up. I'm dead wrestling with me. So trauma. But yes, that movie affected me the most out of all of them. And then after that fact, I saw them all as cool movies. But let's talk about Freddy's Revenge, Part 2.
You've got the body. I've got the brain.
Now, I'm going to be honest. As a kid, I didn't know what gay was. I'm going to be 100% honest. I did not know. I was just a kid playing with Transformers and G.I. Joe. So the concept of gay was, I didn't even like girls at the time. I was just a kid playing with toys. I didn't even think about sexuality. So all the cues and all the subtext and images.
Something is trying to get inside my body.
Assume the position.
I am seeing it now clear as day as an adult, but as a kid, over my head, because I just didn't know what that was. But in the film, you have a character named Jesse, who's played by Matt Patton, and he takes over the role as far as the damsel in distress, the lead role of Nancy. He now lives in the home. His dad bought the home pretty cheap from what we can tell.
Sure, it's 97 degrees in here.
And with the central air completely not working, so he sleeps every night and sweats profusely in his tidy whities and has nightmares of Freddy Krueger. And as we all know, Mark Patton has mentioned many times in many interviews that he was gay in his life, but he had not come out into the world. So this role and all the subtext that he had seen kind of made him feel uncomfortable. And if you haven't seen the documentary Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street Story by Mark Patton, you have to check it out. I found it very insightful on what his experience was.
For a lot of us, Nightmare on Elm Street 2 was our introduction to there's a lot of gay in that movie.
Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge has been known and been called the gayest horror film ever.
This movie is the gayest thing, and we did Xanadu last month.
And watching it now, knowing all the subtext that is purposely placed. Again, I'm saying it with quotation marks, purposely placed, because I don't buy that it was done intentionally. I think it's just like a happy accident. Similar to the effect of Tommy Wiseau, who directed The Room. It was supposed to be a dark drama, but it ended up turning into like a dark comedy, and now that's how he's marketing it. I think that's what happened here. But again, I do appreciate the fact that this is a film that many in the LGBTQ community have said it represents them, which is great. We need more films like that. That's totally awesome. But I just think it's too smart for Hollywood's sake.
Simply did not have the self-awareness to realize that any of this might be interpreted as gay.
We made Nightmare 2 absolutely clueless that it had any gay overtones whatsoever.
I'm absolutely sure there's not one moment that I remember that it was discussed.
It was supposed to be subtext, all right?
I'm not going to give Hollywood that much credit, because to put a film with gay subtext in a slasher is totally unheard of. No other franchise in that time, in the 80s, was even going to speak about that. The topic was still taboo, so for them to say, yeah, that's what we did intentionally, I don't buy it, but again, it is what it is. And especially with Freddy, from what I'm reading with many video essays, is that Freddy is supposed to be the embodiment of Jesse's sexual hidden desires. He's constantly fighting that need that's within him. So I like that approach, and it gives viewing the film an entirely different viewing experience, but seeing that, knowing, okay, if that's the intention and that's his sexual desires that he's battling through the entire film, his sexual desires, his gay sexual desires are conquered by a woman's love. You see, that's where I have a problem with it. But again, ultimately, Freddy wins at the end and the bus drives off into the desert. So ultimately, I guess gay love wins. I don't know, but I'm just saying that there isn't a cohesive, solid ending with that subtext they placed. in my opinion. But Mark Patton's performance in this film is, in my opinion, one of the best as far as a lead actor in a horror film, because you really feel the pain and suffering that he's going through. His body language, how he changes, how he speaks, and especially the performance he gives when Freddy emerges from his stomach. You really believe his performance. You believe he's in pain fighting this change. So it always haunted me as a kid and as an adult, knowing that he's an actor. Action, shoot, you're in pain, Matt, go for it. He sells it. He does an amazing job. It doesn't feel like Nightmare on Elm Street. It doesn't feel like a Freddy movie, man.
It's a weird one. It's a weird one.
And I did a recent watch along with Cody and CP a few weeks back on my channel. The link will be there if you want to check it out. And I noticed with all the subtext that I know now of the film, watching this film again, and it had been, what, 15, 20 years since I last saw it, it didn't feel like a Nightmare on Elm Street film to me. It just felt like a unique movie. And that's what is odd to me. So knowing the subtext, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. It doesn't feel like a Freddy Nightmare movie. It feels like a great horror movie, but it doesn't feel like a Nightmare on Elm Street film. The rules of the universe where Freddy will attack you in your dreams are really not present. He attacks Jesse while he's awake, sleepwalking. I don't even know if he's sleepwalking, but he attacks Jesse in his home while he's sweating profusely. And it has Jesse's mind go array or walking to like gay bars in the middle of the night, half naked. It's just a weird take on the Nightmare franchise that doesn't match any of the other films that have come before and after that. That being said, it's totally unique, and I love a lot of things about it. Again, I mentioned Mark Patton's performance, and I love Freddy Krueger in the film. I love the sound effects of the claw. I love the eye makeup. I love how Freddy looks in the film. I hear they were going for a male witch sort of look, but I feel that his makeup in part 2 is the best of all of the Nightmare films. And I do love how when in there's certain shots, it's just highlighting Freddy's eyes. Just like this. It's haunting. Almost like Morticia and Captain Kirk. But I love it. So again, the film doesn't feel like a Freddy movie, but I think that's the part of it that I love about it the most. It kind of gives all of us an example of going with an original approach. I'm thinking about the Halloween trilogy that just came about. They went with the same ballpark formula, for the exception of the last one. But that's another topic. That's another conversation. But to everybody in Hollywood, I mean, think about this. Go with this approach. Take unique approaches with films, with subtext that are socially relevant and that can pay off in the end, like this film. I think we need more horror films like this to take risks for us as an audience, because again, I think all of us are kind of tired of the same tropes and the same beats and paths that we've seen with other franchises, Halloween ends, and we want something different and unique. Well, that does it for my Nightmare on Elm Street 2 review and look back on it. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave some comments down below. Let me know what you think. Like the video and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And if you'd like to join my Patreons, here's a list of my Patreons. It's a small but proud and wonderful group of people. If you'd like to join that list, by all means, the link is down below. I would appreciate it. And again, any contributions you give to me not only go to this channel, but it goes to all my other channels and podcasts that I work on, as you see here. It would mean the world to me. And as always, thank you for watching Gen X Reviews. I'll see you next time for Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Dream Warriors! Don't wanna dream no more. We're the Dream Warriors. Maybe tonight.